Hey everybody, I'm Tamlyn Tomita and I'm here with Chris Gordon on Hellblazer Biz.
Everyone, this week I have the honour and the privilege and the delight of the company of Tamlyn Tomita. So hi Tamlyn, how are you?
Hello everybody. I have the honor, the privilege, and the company of your attention. So thank you, and thank you very much, Chris and Hellblazer Biz.com for having me. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. I really appreciate that fact that you actually, you said yes to come on. It's a great thing to talk to you. I mean, I know how busy you have got a schedule. That you're snowed under at the moment with work with a good doctor, I believe, as well. So.
Yes, sir. The Good Doctor. We did finish. We finished our season 1 wrap at the end of February, and we're all getting into our season 2 mode. So we're all talking among the writers are all huddling about and preparing for season 2, which we will be going back to Vancouver to shoot in the summer. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
We shall talk more about that later.
Yeah.
And especially Vancouver as well, because that seems to be a hotbed for stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's always been known as Hollywood North, but more so it seems to be that there's more, not only American companies, but British companies and Chinese companies and other studios from around the world who are looking to shoot in Vancouver. So it's because it's a wonderful, perfect city to shoot stuff.
It is. It is definitely, and it's got the scenery, so you can change. It doesn't matter. You can be in different parts of the world in one shot.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a lovely town, and we're just so thrilled to be shooting there. We're really super happy. And Freddie is just like over the top. Yeah, he's like, oh my God, we're in Vancouver. Yeah.
Excellent. So Tamlyn, what was the defining moment then for you? I mean, you've been in the industry a long time, and you've got some fantastic credits to your name. So what was the defining moment? You're welcome. The defining moment where you decided the film industry was where you wanted to leave your mark.
Well, actually, there wasn't a defining moment. It was to really go back, and I think it's in my histories because I've told the story before. But I was attending UCLA, intending to become a history professor, and a woman from the longest running ethnic American festival in the United States called the Nisei Week Japanese Festival asked me to participate in that festival. And I said, it was summer, I was going to school, and she said, would you like to participate? And I go, hey, why not? Or audition for Karate Kid 2. Yeah. And I said, yeah, who wouldn't? This is kind of, a dream come true. It's like, what do directors do, and how do you read, scripts and stuff? And it's like, how do you memorize? And so I did that all, and I managed to succeed through the first one. I jumped through the successive hoops, as they say, and I Kid 2. And knowing that film took place in Okinawa, which is where my mother's side is from, I had that responsibility of creating a character who's Okinawan and telling her story, which is what history is, telling people's stories, or telling the stories of a people, of Americans, of Brits, of Welsh, of Japanese. So that it fell into place that I was meant to do it. God, the fates, Mother Nature, my parents, my ancestors, whomever decided for me that I should be able to tell stories through the craft, through the art of acting in film and TV and stage. So it sounds kind of Pollyanna-ish, and because I've told the story before, but I really do believe that I was supposed to do this because I have that responsibility. I know I have people behind me who have raised me in such a way, and I have people in front of me who look up to me to say, oh, she's telling this story. It must be of some kind of importance, or hopefully entertaining, so that's where I find myself.
That's fantastic. It's a nice. This is a great story to have us to get in
Oh,
there. And I mean,
yeah. I just hope I entertain your folks who are watching this. Like,
oh, you will, I'm sure.
Instead of yammering, it's like, oh my gosh, you talked a lot.
No, like I said before, that's what people love to hear. It's it's nice to hear the stories and opening up. And I mean, to be fair, your first movie was Karate Kid 2, and I was 11 when that came out, so it was right in my time of period of
oh my god,
yeah, it was brilliant film.
Yeah, so like your son's age.
Yeah, exactly.
So your son watched me on Day After Tomorrow. We talked about, me and Chris talked a little bit before, but then now you watched Karate Kid 2 when you were 11. So okay,
exactly,
that's really nice to it's circular.
It is actually, yeah.
I love hearing that kind of stuff. So
it is. That's no, you're welcome. That's actually, yeah, you're right. It's a nice circular pattern. I didn't think of that until you mentioned it. So
yeah. Oh my god. Okay. Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Like father, like son. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Have you actually done? I mean, obviously, your TV and your film career is extensive. Have you done much acting? I know way back. Sorry, in acting. You've done it for 12. I mean, for theatre acting and stuff. I know back you in '94. You did something off Broadway. Have you done any more of that?
Oh my god, I love doing theater. But bottom line is that my agents won't really allow me to because it doesn't pay. And it's very, oh my god, it's so delicious. It's so satisfying to literally bite into a role where you're doing a role night after night in stage and connecting with a person live on stage in front of an audience and being literally naked with your emotions, your vulnerability, your wants. And so I don't get that opportunity often. Hopefully I can tell you, because you're in London. My very good friend Rosalind Chow is performing in The Great Wave over at the National Theatre, and it runs through the mid-April. Or the end of April, so hopefully folks will get to see it in your lovely town of London. But to do a theater piece, I haven't had much opportunity, but when the timing is right, I do grab it. It's just like, oh my god, I have to do it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to do theatre. So people who listen and watch me probably get bored of me waffling on about it, because I used to love theatre. I did when I was obviously I studied it in school, and I was doing Macbeth and Shakespeare for my qualifications and my exams. I kind of got steered in a different path. I think when I was 16, I was told I could sit for the exams for LAMDA, because one of the examiners was giving me some tuition, and she said you would pass. So I was very I still am very self-conscious, but at the time I wasn't too sure, and then I kind of got steered off towards German and something to have a solid background behind, which I won't knock anything for, and I kind of I drifted away. But I actually loved theatre, and it was I crave it, because I was in musicals. I was Drake the Butler in Annie in school.
Oh my god!
And I got rapturous applause apparently for the disdain I called the FBI.
Oh my god!
It's only because I'd watched the X-Files. There was an episode of the X-Files where someone who got into Mulder's body. I can't remember the exact season, and they would pretend they're flipping open the FBI, and he's like going FBI and stuff. So I copied it, and I came on stage, and it was like, Daddy Warbucks, it's the FBI. And everyone was just like, you said it with such disdain. And I said, I was just copying the X-Files.
Oh my god!
And it's amazing. And then I got
what a wonderful experience to have had. And when you say you did it back then, or it's obviously still alive in you, that passion, that desire to witness it or to even be in it. So just keep fanning the flames. It's always there, Chris. And actually, it's an extension of what you're doing now, because quite frankly, because you're selling your website, is it your website?
It's the show, Hellblazer Business.
Yeah, your
show. The show,
Because you're selling your show, and you're bringing on people or interesting folks, and then me. And we're both we're in a symbiotic relationship. We're trying to sell each other's products, but it's still performance oriented, because you want to be liked, you want people to be attracted to what you might have to say, and it's in you, Chris. So this is just an extension. This is your pathway, and it broadens the scope of what we do as performers. So
it does, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, the sad thing was the next year on that one though, I was in there. I was given the lead role in Smike, which was it was a Nicholas Nickleby I was playing.
Yeah.
I got pulled out of that because I was doing my other exams at the time, and because it was taking up so much time, and my parents said, no, you can't do that as well.
You got to do real things.
Yeah,
You got to go
so
to
I
school.
I got pulled out. It was a school
Oh.
play, but I said I was using it towards my qualification, but because I was falling behind, I've got to admit, because I was concentrating too much on the drama.
Yeah.
So just got steered. But they replaced me with someone, and I burst into tears when I saw it because I went to see it, and I mean I can't.
And he wasn't very good.
No, not in my eyes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whether I would have been good, I don't know, Tamlyn, but.
Oh, come on! You know you would have been because you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That opportunity lost, but another door will open. So,
exactly. Did pantomime dame, and then 20 years later, I've done a film last year. I was in an independent film with about 20 lines in there, and it's all and I did wrestling 3 or 4 years ago, and and what I loved about that was the acting. I was talking about this last night because, you wouldn't dream of it, but at the age of 38, I took up professional wrestling like WWE and Hulk Hogan.
Oh my God!
I was trying to lose weight, and it worked. I dropped
that's so
60 pounds in 4 months, and it turned into muscle. I could jump the top rope of the ring. I could flip myself in the ring, throwing people around. Amazing time, absolutely so fun. But the best part, because we had personas, so I was the fabulous Flash, who was a very camp.
Oh my Lord!
Extravagant camp guy, and all the kids. I was 20 years older than the other kids who were wrestling with me.
Who were wrestling.
And they were all training, and they were all going through the angst and the fear because they didn't like speaking in front of people. And me, age 38, I was I don't care.
You're totally devouring it and just eating the scene, chewing the scene.
And they the kids just looked up, and I used to go out on. I was only a rookie. I didn't do anything more than being a rookie. But I used to go out, and there was a feeling because the audience absolutely. I know it sounds I'm not big-headed. The audience backed me because I went out, and all you could hear was the laughter and the cheers as I was doing the that kind of.
And it's just because they loved how you committed, and it's like, oh my God, we can hate him or we can laugh at him because he is totally entrenched in his persona. So that. Bravo. Bravo, rookie.
Thank you.
Bravo, rookie.
I did have wrestlers of 20 years come up to me afterwards and ask me if I really was gay in that point because
really?
And I was like, my wife and my son are sat down there, but I just I don't want to do a disservice to anyone because I've got no I'm not ist in any way or that kind of thing. So I was like, I didn't want to do it in a really stupid way, but obviously I was just having fun and
you're doing it with the largeness of your personality, because largeness sometimes is misinterpreted as commitment, and it's like, no, it's just like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do the biggest and most fabulous way, and it's not demeaning and it's not derogatory, it's just having fun with the whole whatever we perceive. So yay for you. Yay.
So
yay.
You're right. It's come back, and that's why I love talking to people like you, because it gives you it's the passion that I think that's probably what's driven you over the years as well, is that passion. You have
no matter what it is, as long as you're really committing to it, because when you're making fun or if you're commenting on it, audiences will pick it up. If you were commenting on being a fabulous gay wrestler, then people would go, "Oh, he's such a fake," and then they would say mean things. But if you're having fun with it and being fun with who you are or who you're portraying, people glom onto it and go, "Oh my God, he was fantastic!" So yay! That's the key to any performance, really, isn't it? It's like people have their own hang-ups. We spend years in therapy trying to figure out. It's like, oh my God, what do I want?
Exactly. I mean, I grew up on Monty Python, so my humour's perfectly intangible for innuendo and double entendres.
And we're still figuring out. When we were 30, 40, 50 years old, it's like, oh my God, that's what those guys meant. Terry.
Oh yeah.
Beyond, so ahead of their time, those guys.
Oh, they were amazing. Absolutely fantastic people.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, obviously, going back to you again. Sorry, Tamlyn. I told you I'd take things away.
No. This is a conversation, Chris.
It is, yeah.
I'm having my coffee. I'm just talking with you. Yeah.
In all the roles that you've had, can you say, what's the most rewarding role that you've had? Can you actually narrow that down? I guess it might be really quite hard.
And I know, and I'm so glad that we're doing this by video, because I think hopefully people who do get to see this, you and I could sit down with my resume, and we could go down through every part I've done, and I'll tell you a special reason why it's close to my heart. I either became friends with somebody, I learned something that was valuable for my acting toolkit, as I say. I made really created a character which was out of my comfort zone. So I think but literally the most popular ones are the ones that people think of. So Karate Kid, because I didn't know SHIT. I'm not going to swear on your show. So I didn't know Diddley SHIT, and Ralph Macchio, Pat Morita, Nobu McCarthy, Yuji Okamoto, Danny Kamakona, Joey Miyashima, and Mark Hayashi. All those guys, you could Google them, or IMDb them, and they taught me something specific for acting in this film for the camera. John Avildsen, Craig Coleman, my God, the DPs, the assistant directors, everybody taught me something. Jerry Weintraub, the producer, they all taught me something. So that's the first and most important, and I think when I die, I'll probably be the most famous one, because it was so iconic. It's part of a franchise that is so beloved by people. So much so that it got remade. Oh my God!
I know. Won't go there.
But then, so that really is, and I think people want to hear that, and I do. I treasure that. It's very close to my heart. With the passing of John Avildsen last year, and with Jerry Weintraub 2 years previous, it's just become such a precious, even more precious, because we all pass away. But the film lives on, so it becomes really evident that how impactful that film is, not only upon audiences, but it is to me, because I look back with so much fondness. I mean, there was a period in time where I go, oh my God, so-and-so's asked me if I was a Karate Kid. Yes, I was, because you do get sick of it, because I did go through that period, because it's circular. Everything is cyclical. You're joyous, you're over the elation, but then it goes, okay, it's like Frank Sinatra having to sing, My Way, for the millionth time of his career. But then you come back around and you go, oh my God, it really is a special time. It was a special time, not only in my life, but for a community's lives, the Frank Sinatra fans' lives, the world's. So it keeps on going. So I'm at that point where I hope I never am ashamed or tired of being noted for Karate Kid 2, because that really did mark a huge change in my life.
Oh, lovely. That's a lovely thing to hear. And kind of a question that's come out of what you've just said as well. Pat Morita, I loved him. What was he like in real life? Because he just did come across as such the nice. Oh, sorry, I fell off my chair.
That was
nice.
Pat.
It was,
Pat's spirit. You pulled it out from under you. Yeah, that was Pat.
What was he like? Was he, because he just came across as such a lovely guy.
So what you see as Mr. Miyagi is the angelic side of Pat Morita via maybe his father, because I don't know if his father spoke with a Japanese accent. I presume he did, because Pat is second generation, meaning he was born here, and his father and mother were born in Japan, I believe, if I remember correctly. So so Mr. Miyagi is that angelic side of Pat Morita, but Pat Morita is very much the devilish. Talking about Monty Python and innuendos and entendres, he loved that kind of stuff. He was the energy of that man surpassed the whole of us on the cast. The three boys and I would go dancing. He would join us and have a drink or two or three along the way, and he just start the evening and end the evening way past our bedtime. He was what I don't know if you Brits are familiar with Energizer bunnies.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah.
So he was that, and he was that energy filled little party animal.
Yeah.
And he had such wonderful sage advice, because it was through experience as well, because he wasn't talking as Mr. Miyagi, I just know because this is the lessons that my father and my grandfathers and all my ancestors have passed on. It's because he had a lot of shit to deal with his life, and he learned those lessons. And he would tell us these lessons. We would partake of his experiences because he would really open up his heart and say, all the effed upness that he experienced as a male, as an Asian American male, living in the 50s and the 60s, and turning it around and experiencing the success that he had as not only Mr. Miyagi but Arnold on Happy Days. And that guy just loved to work. He didn't care. He just loved to work. He just liked to create things and be with people, be social with people, trade stories, get stories. And he was really one of the most influential people in my life, even though I didn't hang out with him.
Yeah.
I'm very, very fortunate to be friends with his daughters. So we carry on stories about what it's like to be his daughters, because he would call me a daughter.
Right.
And he would teach me those lessons of what it means to be an Asian American, as an actor, as just another human being on this earth. So everything that you think of Pat is true. It's just that he had a very funny, sarcastic, sardonic sense of humor that you don't really get to see unless you see his comedy acts, in the early 60s as the Hip Nip. Yeah, he was that. I mean, he's a contemporary of Red Fox and Dean Martin. He would have a cigarette and a drink and say, "Let me tell you something, Chris." Da, 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 da. And he would be that kind of guy. He was on the nightclub circuit, so he's of that generation. He's of that iconicness of those nightclub entertainers. And I was just so blessed to have him in my life as Uncle Potsy. He would always so not only to me, he would for somebody he felt close to, he would say, "Just call me your Uncle Potsy." And I go, "Oh my God, yeah." So he was very special, very, very special.
Oh, that is lovely.
As he is to everybody who's watching. So
yeah, he is lovely, and it does sound absolutely fantastic. It's always nice to hear when someone has got that mischievous side to them that you don't get across.
More than mischievous, it's like and it's like, "Where are you pitching me? Oh my God!"
Fair enough. I think what you said in there as well with it's actually it flows into the following question I'll have in a minute. But when you're talking about Pat, obviously the experience he brings as well as I think that's a great thing, especially in acting, because as you do get older. As you do get older there, you've got more experience, you've got more life experience. So as you get older, your roles develop more and more, because I think you can, and I mean, there's some actors who come in late in life, hopefully me, put my hand up. You've got like Samuel Jackson, what's the other,
Hateful Eight.
I'm trying to think of the one of my
Django,
Morgan Freeman. I was thinking of Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman.
How can I forget his name? He's one of my favourite actors of all time. But, they come in late in life, and they've famously come later in life. But the experience that they bring with them and everything like that it's just fun. It really does help. And like with yourself, I'm sure over the years you found yourself developing your own characters and your own self around your experiences that you've had.
And doesn't mean that it's easier. You've just compiled more experiences, and it becomes your library of knowledge. But at the same time, because I think that's what I kind of remember a conversation Pat and I had. It's like when you get older, you sort of celebrate the fact that a lot of your BS goes away. Because, you're trying to present a persona. Oh, yes, I'm Tamlyn Tomita. I'm the sophisticated, articulate, intelligent, Asian American goddess. But that's a bunch of BS, because I think I'm more comfortable now that I can, I'm of a certain age. It's like, I'm not that person. I know people perceive me as that sometimes. But then if I really had the comfort and the comfort in my own self to present myself as truly the dorky, 16-year-old, who's wearing, seeing eyeglasses, and I go, oh my God, I can't see you, Chris. Those that kind of, again, nakedness, that kind of vulnerability and unashamedness. That's what it is. It's like, I'm not ashamed anymore of being who I am. And I think, during, when we're, our formative years, we see like Audrey Hepburn, we see like Bette Midler, we see Gene Hackman, my favorite performer, and you want to try on their clothes, you want to try on their personas, and sometimes it fits, sometimes it sticks,
Yeah.
but then it goes, but that's not really me. It's like, I'm not as sophisticated as Audrey Hepburn. I'm really kind of a dork, and I should be able to show that that unmaskedness as myself, as putting on the mask of Audrey Hepburn or Bette Midler. Those kinds of. It's the malleability of a performer, of an actor. So I think that's the most fortunate thing about becoming an older performer, is that the BS goes away and it's like, this is who I am. Deal with it.
Cool. I mean, my next question, obviously you think you've just answered that question yourself with, the next question, but if you can go back and tell you, deja vu, younger self one thing, what would it be, and what,
What it is it's just about that experience, and it's about being comfortable in your own self to say, it's great to be able to put on the different costumes and the different masks of different personas that you want to try, or characters that you're trying to create out of thin air. But also, it might be a little easier, especially in situations like this, when you're trying to sell your film, your television piece, or your stage piece, that this is me, and I shouldn't be ashamed of myself. Like because it does strike a difference between the character that I built, but the totally weird, obscure, facets of my own personality. And it's just to be true to oneself and not to be ashamed of oneself. And I think that's a lesson that any of us, performers and non-performers, should learn along the way as we live our lives.
That's very, very good. And there's three words you said there, and it just immediately drew back to something, because it's my favourite soundtrack, and I've got it in my phone at the moment. I play it constantly. This is me. Yeah, from The Greatest Showman. Because,
oh my God!
Yeah, you mentioned those three words, and everything that you followed. It was like, that's perfect. Because I mean, I love that song, and it's true, because I've got my hang-ups. I'm overweight. I'm very self-conscious, and I have been for years. But I listen to that song, This Is Me, and it's like, and I don't know why, it might be stupid, but it just rings true. It's like, don't be ashamed of yourself. Go out there.
Don't be ashamed of yourself.
And I just, and what you just said there, that's why it was in my mind. I was singing it in my head then when you said.
Oh really? Oh wow!
Yeah, it went through,
and I think that's what it is about what we're experiencing, not only here in the States but globally. It's like, this is me, and it's up to all of us to accept all the me's in the world. And luckily there are some me's who are collective, like Brits are, or Americans are, if we're going to go nationally, like there are the Americans, there are the Brits, there are the Japanese, or whatever. And then we go communally. It's like, I'm a Star Trek fan, you're a Star Wars fan, those kinds of bits. And those are the collective me's. But most importantly is when we, interact as individuals, is that I'm just looking at a fun guy who happens to, be as goofy as me, and to go, oh my God, he's just like me. And I think that's where, this kind of relationship happens. And that's hopefully what we do as performers when we're doing a film or a TV series. And I think that's what the strength is. I'm going to round it back to The Good Doctor, is that even though Freddie Highmore is portraying Dr. Sean Murphy, an autistic savant, which in some people's minds is kind of weird, or is kind of strange, or kind of off, but he is an individual with gifts as everybody else is. And it's like, that's what the strength of our TV series is. And I think that's what the strength is of film and television. That's why #representation matters. You see my face and I'm speaking perfect, I'm from the Valley English. People go, oh my God, she's not Japanese. She's not speaking It educates people via this connective experience. And I think that's what's so important about, all the discussions that we're having, again, not in the States, but globally. You guys are hearing it too, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, and I love that. I think that's something that's been long overdue. That's starting to come. Is that like you say, to value everyone for their own individual abilities. And I mean, for example, in the film, if we release it to the film world, they're making films now
Yeah,
where it
they
doesn't.
see it.
Yeah,
Yeah, because so many they see it because a lot of people are not going to get to see a person like me or a person like you and go, "Oh my God, he's an overweight guy who's wearing headphones talking to but then they don't hear what you're saying and connecting with me,
Mm,
who's over here in Los Angeles. It's like, oh my God, she's not wearing a kimono and she's not, serving tea or
yeah,
it's like though it really matters, and that's why we're pushing so hard to see just much more of a inclusiveness and diversity, but it just showcases how much alike we are
hmm
past this veneer that we have, that, and that's what the struggle is, but it's a valiant struggle because you and I know and understand how important it is, and we're just trying to communicate that in a meaningful manner.
exactly, and it is great. I mean, we've got a female Doctor Who coming up as well. Just which is absolutely amazing, and I think she's going to be a fantastic.
I think she's going to be brilliant.
She is. She's
But
such a quirky actress.
yeah, she's so quirky.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. And then there was a Facebook friend who said, oh my God, I just saw David Tennant in the Trader Joe's," and I go, "That's the old Doctor Who. Wait till the female Doctor Who." Yeah, I was going to write that, but I go, I don't want to sound too stark because I do adore David Tennant. It's like, come
Oh
on,
yeah.
kid. Yeah, yeah,
He's brilliant. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But yes, you're right. That's what I think is what we are heading, and we are in an age now where that is such a huge change and a huge step forward for the whole
yeah,
for humankind in identifying Black Panther movie. It's a huge
yeah.
step forward to try and. It's not going to. I don't think it's going to stop racism because there are all those idiots out there
No,
who just
it, but
blind to everything. But it's a huge
yeah,
step forward. I think
it's a
that
step forward. Yeah.
exactly it empowers
What I've told,
people.
yeah, what I've said to what I've told my love, my sweetheart, when we saw Black Panther, it's like, oh my God, I love this film, and then I started thinking about it. It's like because when we watch movies like Star Wars or Star Trek, and we see just the whole universe of life forms
Hmm
getting together and living together, working together. It's like, how do we get there? How do I want to live there already?
Yeah.
I want to live with these and this is where we are living in that time from being a racist world or racist societies,
hmm
and we're trying to get to Star Trek, that kind of not utopian because it is a fragile kind of alliance
Yeah.
because we all have to understand our differences and
hmm
respect our cultures. But it's kind of it's always learning about each other, and 5 steps forward, 4 steps back. It's always a slow kind of
Yeah.
progress, so we have to be able to be patient with that. Yeah, be patient with
Exactly.
that.
But it's something
Yeah,
that's going to work. I think one of the best things for the Doctor Who was talking about the aliens was when people were. I mean, I hate going on Facebook and reading comments because it really
yeah,
winds me up because it's like, oh my God,
yeah,
how many people just sit there? So, and all these comments having a go attacking for being female, and I'm like, right, you're talking about a fictional character who is a time traveler who travels through the universe and multi-universes with multiple
yeah,
alien species, and you're quibbling
yeah.
about the fact that it's female.
It's
It's like,
female. It's like it's
it,
half of the population. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
you have
you
to
could be
examine yourself. Yeah,
exactly.
you have.
Actually, in fact, doctors from Gallifrey anyway, so they're completely alien in the first place. So why? So does it really honestly
I
matter?
know. It's like, can
But
you put these pieces together here? Yeah,
yeah,
it's
but
it's not a lot of hard work, but
exactly.
again, when you have to self examine, that's kind of, yeah. I can imagine
Yeah,
because for me, on some issues, it's like, oh my God, it's so humiliating, it's so embarrassing, not to be there, not to be
mm,
as progressive or as enlightened or woke
yeah.
as other people. So yeah, yeah, I understand. Yeah,
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and I mean, talking about that, and obviously you talked about Star Trek and Star Wars. So I've got a feeling you're a bit of a. I
yeah,
say geek because I'm a
yeah,
total
yeah.
out and out
But
geek of
yeah,
that.
yeah, I love that kind of stuff, and I think be- they're just great stories, and there's magic to it because they have, devices, that precede us. I mean, telephones, telecommunicators, those kinds of, it's like, yeah, that's imagination in full force. And, who knows where hopefully we'll go into that direction. So that's, it's always that light. It's that beacon that we can always be inspired by and aspire to.
Exactly. I love this late Stephen Hawking. He was.
Yeah.
I remember famously he was on the Paramount set being shown around the Star Trek sets, and they took him past the warp drive in the engine room, and he stopped in his chair, and he looked and he smirked and laughed, and he says, "I'm working on that."
Really?
To the
That's
warp
a true
drive.
story?
Yeah,
oh my God.
Yeah, when he was being taken around the set of Star Trek, he just
that.
stopped at the warp drive and said, "I'm working on that," and he was laughing.
Oh my God! Well, thank you very much for passing that story along, because, yeah, and then the fact that he passed away on Pi Day, it was like,
yeah,
did he think? Yeah, so yeah, one of the greatest minds, but I have faith. I have faith that there is a mind as brilliant, if not more brilliant. We just have to find her or him.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And kind of going back to the Good Doctor itself, then, because obviously that's the main the main reason. One of the things I was talking about is, I've got to say, obviously, with Freddie Highmore playing some autistic savant as well. I grew up. There's two members in my dad's church. One of them was an autistic savant, and his brother was very heavily autistic as well. Mm-hmm. And you're right, because it's including and making sure, understanding that they are their own people with their own special abilities. Because Howard, the guy who I knew, I was only 10, 11 at the time when I knew him, and he'd walk around in his own little world. But if you listened to him and stopped and just talked to him, and just took time to listen to what he had to say, I'd say he was probably on a par almost with Stephen Hawking in mathematics, because he was absolutely phenomenal. He was spouting off fractions, physics, equations.
Yeah.
He was. Yeah. I hate to draw the comparison, but I went to Dustin Hoffman's
because
Rain Man.
That's what you know. Yeah, that's what you know.
He was very much like that, because he'd spill something, he'd immediately count it, and I think, in fact, that's probably testament to how Dustin Hoffman played the character so well. But and again with Freddie Highmore, and I just think that's absolutely a vital thing to show, because there's such a stigma around any kind of disability and mental health, and that's something like the Good Doctor, and pushing that out and saying, look, just get over yourselves. There's no, everyone, we're all people.
We're all people, and we're going to make mistakes, and we're going to misdiagnose, and we're not going to behave correctly. But as long as we're able to say, I want to connect with you, I don't know how, let's figure it out together. I think that's the beauty of what humans are. We're trying to figure out how to connect because we want to connect. There is that kind of fear because it's so strange, it's so weird, or it's so bizarre, because it's so different. It's something that we, a lot of us haven't not encountered, and we just kind of block ourselves and armor ourselves, and we just ignore it.
Yeah.
Or, but then we just go into your regular mode of your neurotypical mode of behavior, and you just have to plug in, and you hear whatever the atypical person is saying, and you just kind of plug into it. If it's just routine, if it's just spouting mathematical equations, it's like, oh my God, I didn't know that, because you don't know that. You don't know how brilliant this person is. And then on the other hand, for a severely autistic person, you just have touch is another thing. It's like usually we go to touch, but then there are persons who don't like touch, but there are autistic persons who do like touch. So again, don't be afraid to make mistakes, as long as your intent is not to harm, because you're trying to learn, you're trying to connect. And that feels good for the neurotypical person / the normal person like you and I. But for an atypical person, just that ability to be able to connect with somebody else, I think speaks much like we're all, I'm getting all my words mixed up. We're all alike. We just have to find the pathways as to how to connect, because we're all like this. We all just have to have the strength and the patience to connect like that. So, and again, going back to Freddie, he's the best number one, meaning on the call sheet, he's number one, because it's the Good Doctor with Freddie Highmore as Dr. Sean Murphy. What a wonderful actor, what a wonderful man, what a wonderful teammate to be on a show with. So I don't have any more high praise than he's probably the best I've worked with, in a long time. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still quite young as well. He's not,
I know. Yeah, he's just really amazing. But the wisdom and his work ethic, his steadiness, we just haven't realized Freddie Highmore's full potential. I think he's got a whole career ahead of. Really, he's got a whole career ahead of him. So, yeah, he's quite surprising. He's pretty amazing in everything he does.
Well, yeah,
so,
considering
and the whole cast.
Yeah.
Again, we need another hour for me to just sing the praises of everybody on this cast. But being that it's Freddie Highmore under the direction of David Shore and Daniel Day Kim, it's like, oh my God, ding ding ding, hitting all three bells.
Excellent. I mean, it's a complete different contrast as well to Norman Bates, which was a previous character. Yeah.
I didn't see Bates Motel until after we started filming Good Doctor,
right?
And it's just like my jaw dropped, and I go, how does it? Oh my God!
So, do I really want to go and work with him now?
I don't want to watch this. I don't want to watch this anymore. I don't want to watch this. Yeah, until I'm finished with Good Doctor.
Yeah, he's not going to come.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Quite funny if he did that actually as a joke one day on set.
He probably has
at some point.
Yeah, he probably has.
Excellent. So, with regards to your character, have you seen your character develop? Because you've finished shooting season 1 in February, and you're looking right in season 2 now. How would you like to see your character develop in a second season?
Well, see, that's the question for me, and really, audience. How compelling is it for you to watch the financial dealings in running a hospital? It's not really that compelling. It's not that interesting. It's like, with any business, I mean, stock market, to watch the stock market is fun because it's like gambling, right? But really, if I pay you $100, how am I going to be assured that my $100 is going to be utilized for the hospital? Well, 50% goes to salary, 25% goes to medicine, 25%. It's not that interesting, but because we've already laid down some kind of just the novelty of having a autistic savant doctor on staff, as we saw in the pilot, and that his act of heroism was put out on social media. I think that was a storyline, and that was a device that I think we can exploit because, as in any business, you running a website, it's like the more hits you have on your website, the more money it generates. And I think if we had this, this hero doctor on staff that was so popular on social media doing saving a life, it's like we should take advantage of that. Or Allegra Aoki should take advantage. It's like, we have a superstar doctor on staff. Come to San Jose St. Bonaventure Hospital.
Yeah.
So I think that might be something. But again, we're really concentrating on the medical aspects, the drama, the personal aspects of life and death situations, of what it means to literally care for somebody. And I think that's what's speaking to the audiences out there. But as the administrator of the hospital, just making sure that the hospital employees are taken care of as well as the patients is out there. I just really, pray that the writers will make it as interesting as it is, as possible as that could be for the audience. Because basically, when we go to the hospital, we don't want to see the hospital bill, and we don't want to fight about it. It's like, why is my dinner like $60? I was like, but we to try to delve into the more human aspects of what it means to be a hospital might be of interest. So we'll gun for that.
Excellent. Less of the bean counter. That's what I call it.
Yeah, right. It's not.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
I completely forgot because I was talking to my neighbour. She's an accountant, and I completely forgot. I forgot she was, because I was just saying where I am at work. Obviously, we've got bean counters now in charge, and she was like, "Thanks," and I was like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry."
Oh, no.
just
know,
insulted. We've lived next year for 13 years, and I've just completely.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah,
It's just a reputation. It's just
it
a
is.
reputation. Yeah, yeah.
Excellent. You've also got 2 movies coming out at the moment. They're in post at the moment. That you've got The Living Worst, and where you play Cheetah, and you've got First World Problems, a TV movie.
Oh my God!
Are they ones which have been
First
going for a
World
while,
Problems
and they're just...
Yeah, well, actually, First World Problems, I think, just premiered at South by Southwest at the Austin, Texas Film Festival, and hopefully it'll pick up. It'll be picked up and be done, because it's very interesting about a family who's become apathetic towards each other. You know, in this modern society where we're just going, where we're doing, social media, getting on our phones or our iPads or our computers, and we're not interrelating with each other. I think that's what's super interesting. Living Worst was just a fun little independent project between a gaggle of women, and they asked me to perform some cameo parts, plural. So I'm in that movie as 3 persons. So you'll get to see, I guess, little characters that I came up with on the fly, because they just said, "Can you do this?" Yeah. So it was very, very much of not guerrilla filmmaking, girl-rilla, GIRL. But it was a lot of fun with a great group of girls. But I'd also like to mention 2 other films, 2 shorts. One is called Real Artists. It's based on a short story by Ken Liu, another sci-fi kind of story, and it's written and directed by a woman named Camille Wood, and I star alongside Tiffany Hines. And it's about filmmaking and AI. And if you go onto Real Artists movie, it's called Real Artists. It's a very interesting take on movie making. So hopefully your fans will get to see it, as well as a wonderful, wonderful visual effects short that will hopefully be picked up for a feature. It's called The Ningyo. Ningyo, written and directed by Miguel Ortega. Oh my God. And his partner Tran Ma. Oh my God. She and he, visual effects masters. Just click it on and you'll see, oh my God, it's amazing. Visual effects people are just going, oh my God, you guys did this, Miguel and Tran, you did this? I go, yeah, we just did it in our apartment, and it's all CGI. Wow. They built a lot of stuff. It would be of interest to you. They built a lot of stuff, but they built a lot of stuff on CG. So, but just the seamlessness of what they were able to do in this little short, I think your fans will really be excited about. So those are 4 as well. So I know, I can't believe I'm yammering. I'm sorry. No, but I'm also on the 3rd season of Man in the High Castle.
Yes. Oh, fantastic! So, that's an awesome show.
Yeah. So it's supposed to start up streaming in winter of 2018, and spring is right around the corner. So I don't know what the delay is about, but the fans of Man in the High Castle should buckle in their seatbelts a little tighter for season 3. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. That sounds absolutely great. Well, keep an eye out for those. Yeah. Definitely the shorts as well. Okay. I've got 2 questions from fans before I move on to my last signature question, which is wrapping it up. I've not told you about the signature question. Hopefully it'll be fun. Okay, this one's from Craig Gilly. And he would like to know, who is some of your favourite actresses now, and which actress from Hollywood history do you most admire, and why?
The second question is the easiest. It's probably the Hepburns. I've already mentioned Audrey, but it's Catherine, because you're talking about 2 female actors, strong in their own right, feminine in their own right, but they're so contrastive. You can't put Audrey Hepburn in Catherine Hepburn's roles. You can't put Catherine in Audrey Hepburn's roles. Yeah. But they're 2 iconic women whom I admire and whose qualities I admire in the roles that they portrayed. I've kind of delved into their personal lives, and there's, it's so sad. It's like Spencer Tracy and Catherine Hepburn, and Jose Ferrer with Audrey Hepburn. It's like, oh my God. It's like you wish that their personal lives were as perfect as their characters' lives. So that's the easiest one. And hi, Craig, because I know Craig. Yeah. But the Hollywood actresses right now, There's so many of them. Um, the one that really, because I just saw the movie last week. I
Mm-hmm.
just saw Black Panther last week because I saved it till I got home from Canada.
Okay.
Um, so it's the women. It's Lupita Nyong'o, who's a Yale School of Drama graduate, like my love, Daniel Blinkoff.
Mm-hmm.
The Yale School of Drama graduates are very. They love each other, even though they didn't graduate with each other.
Yeah.
It's like Lupita Nyong'o, Liev Schreiber, Paul Giamatti, Elaine C. There's known actors as well as unknown actors
Mm-hmm.
that are just doing really wonderful work. But there's so many. So Lupita, and I don't even know the names of the young because I haven't Googled them yet. It's all the women in Black Panther. I mean, I love the fact that you have Michael B. Jordan and Chadwick Boseman. I know
Yeah.
the two male actors, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the female actors besides Angela Bassett.
Yeah.
So those are stuck in my brain right now.
Okay.
And but the ones who I really admire are they've been around for as long as I have is Kate Blanchett.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, they're
It's a
they're
tough
just
one.
still she's pretty fantastic. Meryl Streep. It sounds kind of boring, but hey, it's like they're a reason why they're just highly regarded actors.
Very,
Yeah,
very true. Excellent.
yeah.
It's nice answers. I've not seen Black Panther yet. I'm dying to see it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
When you see it with your son, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's yeah. Again, that's part of the circle.
Yeah.
It'll be fantastic. It's just like, oh my God, it's perfect. It's a wonderful, fantastic. I think you might have heard the depth of it surprised me.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah, definitely.
yeah,
I think I've only just got
yeah.
around to watching Thor Ragnarok, so that's.
We
Yeah,
love Thor too. It was like, oh my God, that was great. Yeah,
it was.
yeah. We
I
were.
haven't. I didn't expect much because obviously there's only as much as I love the films, there's so many Marvel ones out there. So when Thor
Yeah,
Ragnarok came along, I was like, well, I like the character Thor. Chris Hemsworth, great.
yeah,
Then
yeah,
I watched
yeah.
Thor and I was crying with laughter. It was.
Oh yeah, me too, me too.
It was.
And then because it's so out of line of its predecessors. It was like not
Mm,
Thor and the other ones. It was like, oh my God, he's hella funny. It's like,
yeah,
oh my God, the tongue in cheekedness of it all. It was really super entertaining.
yeah.
So yeah, we had a blast with that
Oh
one
yeah,
as well.
and his rock friend, wasn't it? He goes, "Oh,
Yeah,
Mick's dead." Yeah, I accidentally trod on him,
yeah,
That was
yeah.
my bad South
It's so
African accent.
fantastic. It was so fantastic, so fantastic. Yeah.
It's brilliant. Okay, the last question I got from fan is from DC. This is his Twitter name, so
Okay.
DC2, which is at Perplo23.
Okay.
If you could pick any role or character to play in any production, what would it be? In other words, what's your dream role?
Oh my God. That's such a hard question. But seriously, the first image that popped into my mind,
Hmm.
because that's the only honest answer I have, because unless you had time, DC, for us to go, so, oh yeah, that's a good one too. The first image in my mind would be Luke Skywalker. I would have
Cool.
wanted to be Luke Skywalker.
Hmm.
And I know that's crossing gender and so what, but still it's like, to have that kind of, I guess it's a selfish reason to see him as a young boy at Tatooine, and then see him disappear. Oops, sorry. To see him transition
Yeah.
in the latest. Sorry, in the latest Star Trek. I mean Star Wars film. Sorry, I have another story because I'll tell you another story. To see Luke Skywalker
Yeah.
have that, the young, innocent, naive boy
Hmm.
to his schooling as a student under Yoda, to find out who his father. It's just that's the first thing. So it's the truth. It's the most honest answer I have right now. So I have a funny story because when I was on Stargate,
Hmm.
the actor Robert Picardo. Do you know who
I
Robert
do. Yeah,
Picardo
I've
is?
met him once. Yeah.
So he was on Star Trek,
Yeah.
correct? So, but we're filming an episode of Stargate, and we're lost in the woods or something, and we're trying to get back to Stargate headquarters or
Hmm.
something. And he has a line, and he's yelling at somebody in his communication device, and he's yelling because just let Chris Gordon know that we've got to get back to Star Trek command as soon as possible. And everybody started laughing because he said Star Trek on the Stargate. So it was like everybody gets mixed up. So Stargate, Star Trek, Star Wars. So it's all excusable because, we're all in the same universe, so we're all a bunch of, billion stars. But that was a really fun, and I didn't tell it very well, but still.
Robert
Picardo,
that was
good. Yeah. So, I managed to triangulate Star Wars, Star Trek, and Stargate. So there you go.
Yeah,
you
that's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I'll see what you did there. That's good. Was it strong with the Force? You are
strong with the Force. And I heard on National Public Radio, NPR, interview with Frank Oz and his wife.
Okay.
And it was just because and I'm pulling the plug in. It's called, I think there's a movie called Muppets the Movie or Muppet Guys.
Right.
It's Frank Oz's new documentary.
So
because you can't get it on Netflix, you can't get it on Amazon, you can't get it on regular TV, you can't see it in the theater. So if you're a Muppets fan, if you're a Yoda fan, if you're a Frank Oz fan, go find it. Google it. It's out there. So yeah.
Fantastic. And you know what? You've read my mind, because that actually takes me right into my signature question, which I swear to people who are watching and listening, this was not planned to end like this.
Okay, it's not planned. I swear on everything holy. Yes.
Last year I had Mike Quinn on my show. Now Mike Quinn was Nine Numb in Return of the Jedi. You know the guy with the monkey one in yeah, and he was also obviously he's in Force Awakens and The Last Jedi as well.
Yeah.
And he's also been a puppeteer and a muppeteer, should I say, with Jim Henson for 25 or 30 years, ever since he was like a young teenager. So he's worked with Kermit, Miss Piggy, and someone asked me the question to ask him, and I thought, you know what, this is such a fun question. I'm going to ask it as a signature question. So if you could have a Muppet character created from you, about you, what character would it be and why? And it could be a mix of a few. It could be the existing or a brand new.
Oh, easy. Oh, super easy. It would be. I would want to be the woman, the girl Muppet that Groucho, not Groucho. Sorry, Cookie Monster. And the Grouch would be in love with, and I would go, Cookie, or that. I would want to be a mix of those two puppets, Muppets, because they're just so out there and they're so loud, and I think that's one thing that people don't know about me, that I have a nickname from a dear person in my life. They don't know. I don't think people know how super annoyingly loud I am. My nickname is Air Horn, because in a gymnasium, when I'm rooting for a basketball team, you can really hear me because I have good projection, but the things I yell is like, oh my God, it's Tamlyn out there. But yeah, so I would take advantage of being the Grouch and Cookie Monster and just being so out. I'd love that. Awesome. And I'd have orange hair and pink lips and green eyes. Yes, that's what I would do. I would always control freak of me. Yeah.
Cookie Monster, give me cookies.
Cookie.
That's how. Yeah, that's cool. Now it's also how I started my show, because I started doing this as 5-minute and just to keep people motivated about a TV show that was cancelled. And I just do these really stupid impressions, and I was just doing that for 5 minutes, making people laugh at a time.
Yeah. Of course, it's easy. It's fun because you unleashed a child in us.
Oh.
So that's what's It's like yeah. I think that's what the fun part about doing interviews like this, because it's fun. It's fun because we are really truly having a conversation.
Yeah.
And it's it's going to be put out there on YouTube, but it's because it's relational. You can understand why I'm reacting like this or you're reacting to me. So it's that kind of benevolent kind of relationship. So
definitely excellent. And before I stop the recording, is there anything you'd like to say to people who are listening and watching? One final thing.
Thank you for watching. I'm always really kind of off put that people are interested in hearing what I have to say, and I hope you're not bored, because I tend to ramble when other people tend to ramble too, because it's all in fun. And the thing about it is that I find truthful to what you and I just shared over this last 45 minutes, is that we both rambled, but we both listened.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because people tend to ramble, but you have to listen as well, because it's a give and take. And really, I had a joy in doing this, so I hope people were kind of entertained. But really, truly, thank you for your time, because I know time is valuable.